Continue. So at the end of the day, woe unto them that they call good evil and evil good. I mean, like I said, you thinking about experimenting, and more so on our people. You know what I mean? Like for instance, I can't recall that female name. One of the brothers brought it out at camp, but I think it was last year or the year before. They found that female in Chicago in the freezer at a major hotel, and and it's so funny because it's full of shit. She just end up in the fucking freezer, but you got cameras all throughout this major fucking hotel, but just some kind of way the camera doesn't catch who put her in there. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, ain't nobody that fucking drunk. Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, like, unless you, that's highly doubtful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done seen people intoxicated, and then they said, and quiet as kept. The reason why I bring it up is because at the end of the day, they said that she was missing organs, and you know what I mean. Like, at the end of the day, Jake is wicked, so much so that Jake is taught the wicked his ways, but Jake ain't doing no shit like that. Like Jake, yeah, might be raping and even the most psychotic what Jake that they had was with that Anthony Sowell. What he was doing, he was raping, prostitutes that basically that was playing with him because it was prostitutes he didn't rape. It was prostitutes he didn't kill. So it's, I mean, but at the same time, my point of bringing it all up is because you got Esau that's like for instance with the dude, the Rockefeller that died. That dude had like 7 to 10 actual like heart transplants. Do you understand what type of money you gotta have to actually be able to get a heart transplant, let alone be on the list? So that means he was at the top of the list every time, what I'm saying? Because of the money and power he had. Let's see. It says Sub Project 94. This sub project was conducted through the BioSearch Incorporated company and the Panoramic Research Company. Both companies were funded with CIA dollars. They were studying remote control behavior through brain stimulation. Subject Sub Project 119. Dr. Saul Sales directed this project under the auspices of Texas Christian. Look at that, of Texas Christian University. In 1960s, he was researching the techniques of controlling the human organism by remote electronic means. The subject in this sub project were the subjects in this sub project were unwitting, and many were children. Wow. Dr. Saul Sales directed this project under the auspices of Texas Christian University in 1960s. He was researching the techniques of controlling the human organism by remote and electronic means. The subjects in this sub project were unwitting and many were children. I have interviewed one of the childhood subjects of this sub project who is now in her 50s. She claims she still is being subjected to covert experimentation. Bear with me for a second. I just want to bring out that scripture based on this sub project 119 by Dr. Saul Sales. He said he used it up under the pretenses of Christian university, but the techniques was to control a human organism by remote electronic means. It said many of the subjects were children or unwittingly involved, meaning they had no idea that they were trying to do this or they were even in a study like this. This is Proverbs 12 and 20. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counsels of peace is joy. So at the end of the day, the point was in the beginning. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil. I mean, like that's some evil ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Especially to take, at a certain point in life, you're held accountable for what you do. You know what I mean? Because you are conscious. You can choose right from wrong. Children are more precious because that's why children are so bold at certain things. You know what I mean? Children don't have a tact for certain things. Like for instance, children will be brutally honest. You know what I mean? And children really are more faithful and more believers. You know what I mean? Like for instance, if a child sees his mother across the street and the mother says, "Come on across the street," it could be cars coming and whatnot, and 9 times out of 10, because they believe in their mother or their parent, they'll go with a hesitation. You get what I'm saying? Like after so many years of living in this wicked ass place and becoming accustomed to the way this society is, that's when they develop fear. You know what I'm saying? That's why it says in scripture when Messiah says anybody that that's twofold, but it was talking about anyone that roughly paraphrasing when it says offends any of these little ones, meaning any of us that's in this truth, but it's also to these children as well. You know what I mean? Like children are innocent until a certain point. You know what I mean? Like the little ones, like the babes. Well, then, like I said, once you become like in Israel's customs, you became a man at the age of 12. You became a woman at the age of 12 because at the end of the day, that's when you are able to procreate. You know what I'm saying? You had kings that was on the throne at a certain age, you know what I mean, as children. You know what I mean? They had counselors or whatnot, but just this society is so fucking backwards. You got the society where you can sit up there and you can go to war and kill a man at 18, but you can't buy liquor till you're 21. You can get a credit card at 18 and put yourself in debt, but you can't buy alcohol until you're 21. Ain't that backwards though? You can take a man's life at 18 and go to the service and kill for this white man, but you can't buy alcohol. Under the umbrella of MK Ultra, several researchers also investigated the use of brain implants to alter the human condition. Some of this research fell under the previously mentioned sub-projects, and many had overlap between sub-projects. The goal was the same in all the studies: to control human behavior through the introductions of electric shock, radio frequency, or directed energy to the brain. While most readers familiar with MK Ultra may see it as a dark past in our nation's medical research, there is ample evidence that is continuing today. Brain stimulation is one of the topics of research that began with MK Ultra and has continued in several university settings today. And not to digress, but I guarantee, based on this research, that's why they came up with that chip. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you, you know what I mean? Like, real talk. I mean, like, you got to remember, a lot of this was happening. This said in the 1960s. We in 2000 going on 2020. That's over 60 years. You don't think that that's why they want to chip you so bad. And like I said, at the end of the day, I was watching the one video when a dude had the chip and he was able to order a pizza with that bitch. You know what I'm saying? So if you could, man, if people gonna take that shit, why? It's gonna be crazy, man. Like, while most readers they gonna think that shit cool, that shit gonna be your death. While most readers familiar with MK Ultra may see it as I read that part, Salakia. MK Ultra has continued in several university settings today. However, after the congressional hearings that resulted in the freedom of information exposure of MK Ultra, the funding sources of the current research is being held closer to the vest. The most notable physician that took part in MK Ultra brain electrode studies was Dr. Jose Delgado. Delgado, a Yale neurosurgeon, was funded by the Navy, Air Force, and the Public Health Service to research the effects of brain stimulation on epilepsy and group behavior. The emphasis here is on the group behavior aspect, as most of the literature released in medical journals from these studies focused on the epilepsy part of the research. This research included planting electrodes in the brains of both animals and humans, allowing him to control their movements and emotions. I'm going to read that back again. That's a spirit too, because I just brought out the fact of the chip, and then it just come out with this. It said Dr. Jose Delgado, a Yale neurosurgeon. It says the research that he came up with, this research included planting electrodes in the brains of both animals and humans, allowing him to control their movements and emotions. In one 11-year-old boy, he was able to elicit a change in sexual. Oh my God, do you hear this shit? It says in one 11-year-old boy, he was able to elicit a change in sexual identity by stimulating the superior temporal convolution of the brain. So do you actually understand the implications of what they just said? It said by them doing this electric shock with his electrodes, he was able to change. So if he liked it girls, they was able to make him a homosexual. And this is that white man in rulership. Upon stimulation, the boy would identify himself as a female and express the desire to marry a male. Other doctors supplied with Delgado's implants performed their own experimentations in various universities and hospitals. Dr. Vernon Mark and Dr. Frank Irvin used Delgado's techniques to implant patients at Harvard and later at UCLA. Uh, Under Dr. Louis Jolyon West at UCLA, the plan was to use brain implants to control criminal violence in urban settings. Both Delgado and Irvin published books detailing the use of brain implants to control behavior in the future. Oh wow, that's the spirit. It's a Both Delgado and Irvin published books detailing the use of brain implants to control behavior in a future utopian society. Delgado's book entitled Physical Control of the Mind Toward a Psycho Civilized Society shall alert the reader to the exact nature of these experiments. And with that, I'm going to stop proving the point that Esau is trying to play God, and proving the point that, like I said, when people was wondering about that chip, would it be able to control you or would they be able to control you? Yes. You know what I mean? Because if this research was started in the early 30s up to the 60s, and, you know, I was listening to Apostle Gabar speak on that, like, for instance, like the technology when they had the atom bomb, when they blew up um, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When they blew that up, it wasn't a nuclear bomb, but it was an atomic bomb. That was the early research into that type of energy and that type of weapon. Now we got nuclear bombs. You don't think that they progressed and like you had an automobile back in whatever year they came out with the automobile. What was that? The 30s or something like that, the 40s, and now you have a totally different kind of automobile. It progressed. You don't think that, like I said, with the research that they started with this, you know, trying to control the human brain. I mean, like that they actually, that's why they want to implant this chip in people so bad. So with that, I want to stop and give all praise, honor, and glory. Call halal Allah Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shah Ba'Hashem Hakodas Rakatam. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Shalom to the Akwat and the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord will, this was edifying video. Shalom to the confusion of face brethren joining onto our ranks. And shalom to all the sincere Akim out there pushing the truth. And with that, I want to say shalom, shalom, and the Bod Babal.